What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla stock. I'm also going to be breaking down some very important information about Tesla's earnings call. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends in just about 8 days from now. Anyways, now when it comes to Tesla, I just wanted to mention there's a bit of a downtrend right over here as Tesla had this lower high being established. We lost structure at 232, so our next target will be all the way down towards the 220 area. And losing that opens the door for about 212 a share, which is where we have previous resistance becoming support, not to mention our 200 EMA. So this is bearish looking for Tesla, and this is actually going to be used as a bearish catalyst for SPY in the markets. Unfortunately, Tesla is dipping quite a bit. The question is, why is this happening? I'm not going to go over all the articles, all the headlines, guys. I just kind of got a headache listening to the entire earnings call and going through everything throughout the day. So I just want to talk to you guys just like this and kind of break down some very important information. So I have some important notes from the earnings call I'm going to go over as well. Just note that Tesla beat on revenue at $25.5 billion, but they missed on EPS. That's not the best of news. They missed on EPS with about 52 cents per share. We were expecting 62 cents per share. And then revenue was at $25.5 billion above the expectation of about $24.5 billion. So beating on revenue is good, but missing on EPS was a bearish catalyst. And then Tesla made some announcements which caused it to just continue to dip. So let's talk about how this is going. What did Musk say? Musk started off by saying that people don't know how good the FSD system is unless they try driving it, and then you'll see how good it actually is with that. He said it's going to be a massive demand driver for Tesla because the miles between interventions is continuing to increase. That means that people could drive their Teslas longer using FSD. People are not driving, they're just sitting there kind of monitoring the situation, whereas the FSD is taking control while it's supervised, quote unquote. But by the time people interfere, it's actually becoming less and less frequent, is what they're trying to tell us. The Robotaxi is going to be unveiled on 10/10, so that's October 10th, 2024. That's about 2 months from now, or 3 months from now, a little bit less than 3 months from now. That's something else that's worth noting. He also wants to make important changes that improve the vehicle and show off other things. On top of that, Musk is very careful to not really disclose Tesla's new products or anything like that during earnings calls because he doesn't want that to kind of disrupt Tesla's orders already, because people may try to cancel their orders for Tesla and try to get the new thing if they do make any announcements. That's why they're going to be very, very careful. On top of this, the Giga Texas has more H100s and 20K hardware for AI computers than many of its other counterparts, and it's going to help with functions for Optimus to perform tasks and all sorts of other things. Early production starts next year for Optimus, but that's for real consumption, and also for Tesla in itself. They think that they're going to have several thousands of them working in the Gigafactories by the end of next year. And by 2026, they want to wrap up high-end production so that the version 2 comes out very, very soon. The energy business is growing like crazy. They're continuing to potentially double their overall production in China as they're starting to see another very important factory being built. And on top of all of this, there's also news coming out that Musk is emphasizing the importance of autonomy. At volume with unsupervised FSD allows for a giant autonomous fleet to take the valuation of over $5 trillion. And then Optimus, in Musk's opinion, is going to make it several times larger than that. So that's what Elon Musk said. He also said that based off the current trend, they're going to get miles high enough between interventions that they could do unsupervised FSD by the end of this year, if not by next year. So he's saying that by next year, they could be ready for unsupervised FSD, which is pretty huge. There's also some news about how the 4680 battery cells are ramping upwards, which is good news for them. And they're going to be a lot more efficient with the Cybertruck using dry cathode processing for more efficiency. They're also trying to drop costs in the process. Now, Dojo is very huge. But one thing that's worth noting is that NVIDIA's hardware is very high to get their hands on, especially the right GPUs. So sometimes Tesla has to once again take matters into their own hands when it comes to production for the hardware. On top of this, there was a lot of questions being asked about like Dojo and new developments and Optimus. Musk was just saying that there's no limits to what accessories could come with Optimus, which is kind of funny. On top of this, they mentioned that in the US alone, in Q2, 2/3 of their sales were just from people who didn't even own Teslas beforehand. So there's lots of interest in the cars and their functionalities, and Tesla has to do a good job at helping people learn about what they're developing. The Robotaxi is also going to be produced at the Giga Texas and Optimus version 2 at high production as well. there were talks about FSD licensing. Tesla's working on it, but they can't really disclose too much about it. But they are going to once again unveil certain details depending on the deals that are made with different companies. AI also has a very, very broad spectrum. So they're focusing on FSD, but parts of the work are being used by XAI when they have to develop AGI. That had to do with like the way they were hiring employees and such. That was something that was worth noting. There was some talk about how Musk was basically asked that will revenue fall for the automotive will automotive revenue fall below 50% of Tesla's revenue, and Musk said yes, over time Optimus is going to exceed the value of everything else combined, helping Tesla hit trillions of dollars. He also agrees with ARK's analysis of what Tesla's going to be worth. For other pieces of news, with 100 million vehicles using AI 5 with billions of humanoid robots. That's going to be very useful for their growth, at least over time. And if other companies have cars that have 360 views, access to the internet, and basically, a bunch of different other capabilities, they could incorporate FSD into them using Tesla's technology. So something else that Elon Musk was talking about. And then when asked about tariffs, this is another very, very big thing that Musk was talking about. Musk couldn't really say too many details about Tesla's products or too much about where they're going to be kind of like importing a lot of their vehicles because it depends on tariffs and that's going to be heavily dependent on the election. And that kind of brings me to the next point about the election. So Musk can't say much. He actually mentioned that subsidies for Tesla are very important, but as time goes on for the long term, subsidies will not be as important as autonomous driving is going to be the most important thing. And Musk said that if you don't believe Tesla's going to solve autonomy, you should sell your Tesla shares. That's what Elon Musk said. He said that Tesla's all about that. So, in essence, tariffs are going to be another very important thing affecting their developments. So, if former President Trump were to win, hypothetically, there is going to be a risk of tariffs being increased on Mexico and also in other parts of the world. So Tesla will have to make adjustments when it comes to the way they import them, which factories they use. The Model 3, for example, is being imported from, Shanghai to different European countries. That's just one example based off tariffs. If tariffs were to increase on China, they could actually just try to do it from Berlin. Who knows, guys? They could kind of shift things depending on how things end up going. So we'll just have to wait and see. That's something that Elon Musk and the team were talking about. And when it comes to their FSD regulations, there's going to be a very, very generalized solution. Obviously, there's going to be like different regulations in different states, but for the most part, Musk was saying that he's not too worried about it as long as they could prove that FSD is safer to be using than having an actual human driver. They're going to be completely fine when it comes to approving it. So once again, there's a lot of uncertainty about Tesla, considering the fact that how things are looking with potential tariffs and such. Tesla's also has been delaying the Robotaxi event. Of course, that's something else that came out. And when it comes to the way things are looking, Tesla obviously didn't spend as much money in Q2. They're going to likely spend more with more expenditures. So EPS is a little bit concerning amongst investors, especially because they missed on that. But for the long term, we all could kind of like agree as long as Tesla maintains its goals, makes a lot of improvements with FSD, they're going to be completely fine for the long term. I'm very, very bullish for Tesla long term. I'm very excited for Optimus, the Robotaxi. What else did he talk about when it comes to FSD and all these other big developments coming out for Tesla? However, even with these developments with Tesla Energy and such, I'm still a little bit concerned about the short term because of the fact that Tesla's kind of delaying some projects, and also because of other factors such as the uncertainty of the election, how subsidies can be affected, what's going to happen with tariffs, and also what adjustments Tesla has to make. There's also been some fear about revenue potentially slowing for their EVs, especially if you look at what's happening year over year. So, in my personal opinion, short term Tesla's looking a little bearish just for now, especially because of the fact that they had to delay their Robotaxi events to about 10/10 that's being confirmed. But at the end of the day, the overall earnings call makes me very bullish for the long term of what Tesla's vision is and what they are developing. So we might see Tesla dip more, guys. This might be a negative catalyst for SPY and the others. Don't forget, SPY also is kind of dipping in the after hours. We have a head and shoulders like structure, and we do have this gap to fill down here in the 548s. And then QQQ, same thing. So head and shoulders like structure is also dipping as we have this big gap to fill down here. So the market's going to likely get a dip. And then don't forget that Google's another big factor. This is also dipping quite a bit right now. It's currently down about 2% in the after hours. We'll be watching the 200 EMA around 179 to see if that holds or not. So watch that as key support. And just note that Tesla is continually looking more bearish. This is another catalyst that's being used to dump things. And I think that there's a risk of more downside. So we'll see how well we hold above 220. If we lose that on Tesla, I'll be looking for this 212 area as an area of interest. So I see a risk of downside looking at technicals, looking at our charts and such. So just be very careful with Tesla, guys. Know that the market's going to likely get a rug pull. Be very, very careful with this. And I just want to give you guys a warning. Once again, guys, I'm very happy for some of the things that Musk has announced about production and a lot of progress being made with the development of Optimus, a lot of growth in their different sectors and how they're developing Dojo. I'm very excited about a lot of those things for the long term, especially for many months, many years out. But for the short term, this was a little bit more bearish and it's going to be completely fine, guys. So anticipate some downside and then do what you have to do. I want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next video tomorrow before the market opens. Thank you for listening. Take care, guys, and peace out.